Welcome back to the 2-Minute Warning. Today I'm taking a look at the Jacksonville Jaguars and going over whether or not I think the Jaguars should look into trading for wide receiver Michael Thomas. But before to that topic, question for those of you doing, comment down below. What would your trade package be for Michael Thomas? I want to hear your GM skills, see how good your comparison or your trade package could be, and I'll kind of give my answer throughout. Getting straight into it though, I do think the Jaguars should look into this. Obviously, I'm not even sure if the Saints are really shopping Michael Thomas, so this entire video is pretty speculative. And I'm getting really theoretical, but still, top 6 receiver, kind of disgruntled. This is at least talking about, especially with the Jaguars. Urban Meyer being the head coach, who's cross paths with Michael Thomas when they were both in, coaching college and playing in college at Ohio State. Things could, get interesting. Theoretically, this is a trade I would like to see happen during the season. Not today. I'd like to see it happen, right around or right before the trade deadline. I believe that's like November 2nd or 3rd or November 1st. I think it's right before or after week 8 of the NFL season. And I think the Jaguars should just kind of look at their roster around then, week 7, to say, could we use Michael Thomas? We already got DJ Chark, who's, according to Urban Meyer, corner camps, is really growing into being a stellar wide receiver number 1 for that team. Laviska Shenault's only going to be in year 2, so he's already on the come up. But Marvin Jones Jr., a lot of people see him as underrated, and of course, don't forget about X Factor Tim Tebow. O-line, it's better than most situations. Guys like Justin Herbert or Joe Burrow. Justin Herbert had the worst O-line last year. We know what Joe Burrow's O-line did to him. Trevor Lawrence, he's not walking into a fortress, but he's got a decent interior. Walker Little, I think, was the extra tackle they took in the second round. I believe that was his name. So it's better protection than most rookies get. Backfield, it's pretty stacked. James Robinson, Carlos Hyde, Travis Etienne, that's a pretty deep backfield for the most part. A lot of it's just going to depend on the youth factor. Trevor Lawrence is going to be young. Laviska Shenault's still young. Urban Meyer's young to being an NFL head coach. James Robinson, Travis Etienne, yada, yada, yada. A lot of it's just inexperience for this team. But theoretically, I think in this division, the Jaguars have a chance. Again, I don't think the Jaguars really were a playoff entering this year, but if you consider the factors, Colts are going down with injuries, and Michael Thomas is on the trading block. What if right around week 7, looking at the Jaguars schedule, the first 6 weeks is Texans, Denver, Arizona, Cincinnati, Tennessee, Miami. That's the first 6 weeks. Theoretically, I think they could go 3-3 in the first 6 weeks. I think they could beat Houston. Denver would be a tough one they would have to win. They have a spectacular secondary. I think they might have the best secondary in the league, but with the quarterback mismatch, as Trevor Lawrence is this next best thing. I know it's a lot of expectations for rookies, but I think he can outmatch Drew Lock. I'm taking him over Drew Lock, that's for sure. Even if it is Teddy Bridgewater, I would still prefer Trevor Lawrence. The Jaguars could very well start 2-0. I'm not betting on that, but I'm not saying it's impossible. Arizona, I'm not banking on them to win that, but I do think they could beat Houston, Denver, and Cincinnati. And then I would probably say they'd lose to Cardinals, Titans, and Miami. Those teams are just more experienced, more well-rounded, have a better foundation. But entering the bye week of week 7, they could be 3-3. And what if, the Texans, they might be 0-6 entering week 7 for all we know. But what if the AFC South is looking like Titans at 4-2 entering week 7, Jaguars are 3-3, Colts are missing Carson Wentz, they're 2-4, and the Texans are 1-5, 0-6. Jaguars are in a 2-man race for this division. I know it's early on, and they're going to have a rough patch after their bye week. Go Seahawks, Bills, Colts, Niners, Falcons, but then Rams, Titans again. That's a tough stretch after. But what if you're looking into the bye week, like trade deadline's coming up, we're second place in the division, we're 1 game back. Michael Thomas can't take us to the next level. Again, I wasn't expecting playoff expectations for the Jaguars, and I'm still not betting on it. But in a division that has a banged-up team in the Colts that has an amazing roster, but it hurts. Carson Wentz could come back and they could go on a 10-win streak and finish 13-4 for all I know. But still, just sinking at that possibility, Colts just can't figure it out without Wentz, and they're just too far behind when they lost and that they can't recover. Texans, it might be a 2-man race between the Jaguars and the Titans, and you throw in a Michael Thomas, a DJ Chark, and a Laviska Shenault, Marvin Jones Jr. I'm not saying Michael Thomas and DJ Chark alone are better than Julio Jones and A.J. Brown, but I would consider of the top 4 receiving options, I would say the Jaguars have a better receiving group in my opinion. Backfield, there's no Derrick Henry, but it has more depth to the Titans. The defense, I like the Jaguars defense. Another thing, I think they're really young to say I like them a lot, but I do like them better than the Titans. Josh Allen, the defensive end or the pass rusher for the Jaguars, is one of the most underrated pass rushers in the NFL, and I think his name's just kind of hidden by the Bills quarterback, Josh Allen. Of course, Miles Jack's kind of last guy, part of that Jacksonville run in 2017. The secondary, another part that I do think is young, but between Trey Herndon, C.J. Henderson, Shaquille Griffin, they drafted Tyson Campbell. In time, this team will be a troublesome team, and I truly believe. Again, even if they're not trading for Michael Thomas for this year, in the future, Trevor Lawrence is only going to be on a rookie contract for so long. You got Urban Meyer, who's familiar with them. Come week 7, week 8, right around the bye week, right around the trade deadline, Jaguars could be fighting to win first place in that division, and Michael Thomas might be just ready back from injury. Saints could be 1-5. Jameis isn't it. They're just going to have to accept it and go into rebuild mode. They might be looking to ship off of Michael Thomas if he's still disgruntled, and the Saints just don't have a shot in general. I'm getting speculative. This is all ifs, ands, and buts, and what ifs, and yada, yada, yada. But still, you got to at least let your mind wander a little bit. Go into Scooby-Doo land, go into fairyland, whatever you want to call it. Use your imagination and just think, maybe this could turn out. A lot of things would have to go the right way for the Jaguars. A lot of cards will have to be dealt in their favor. But, again, theoretically, over the next 5 years, if Trevor Lawrence pans out, if Urban Meyer pans out, Michael Thomas, Laviska Shenault, DJ Chark, Marvin Jones Jr., X Factor Tim Tebow. That's a joke, by the way. Travis Etienne. That's a very, very strong foundation, you know. And even if they don't get Michael Thomas, the thing I'm rooting for the Jaguars this year, I'm not a Jaguars super fan. I live in Florida, so, you know, as long as they're not playing my favorite team, if it's in any given Sunday, I'll probably root for the Jaguars if they're just on TV, if that makes sense. But what I'm kind of hoping for, and the 1% fan of me that is towards the Jaguars, I'm hoping they kind of get what the Chargers did last year. You know, you got your quarterback of the future, yet your record's not that great, which kind of benefits you because you're not going to make a playoff run this year. Why don't you just try and, you know, I don't want to say tank, but, you know, be okay with the better draft pick, but at least know your future is in great hands because you got the quarterback of the future, you got the coach of the future, you got the run game. Defense is just a hurry up and wait thing. This team, the only thing that's really hurting them, I think, is lack of experience, lack of chemistry, and lack of mentorship or lack of veteranship, and just the strong presence of youth for the most important key pieces. Again, there's experienced guys in there. Marvin Jones Jr., Miles Jack. There's guys that have reps to them. Shaquille Griffin, but still, they're either new to the team or just the other cats are really young, rookies, sophomores, whatever you want to call it. That's what I would like to see if they don't go after Michael Thomas. I'd like to see them kind of have a bad record, but have a good team, if that makes sense. Just moving forward, you know, you got your Herbert, you got your Trevor Lawrence, you got your team is in great hands for the future, but why not go up and up your draft capital for the upcoming year so you get the next best tackle or receiver or pass rush or whatever it is the Jaguars could be using in the year. That would be my second perspective or my other way of looking at it if Michael Thomas just isn't an interest. And really, what would Michael Thomas be going for? That would, of course, be a consideration. I'm thinking he'd probably have to go around a first-round pick. You know, looking at the Julio Jones trade, he was a second and fourth. And a lot of people think they're on the similar levels of talent, and I do too. But Julio's coming off an injured season. Michael Thomas is too. But Michael Thomas is a lot younger. Jags will have the money. I don't want to say they don't have tons of draft capital like they used to, but they still got all 7 picks, and I believe they got 2 fifths. Throw in a first and a fifth, see if they'll accept that. Again, he's a top 5 receiver when healthy, and you're telling me in the following year you can't make a run in the AFC South. And like I said, this year, I don't think they can, or I don't want to say can. Anything can happen. Anything is possible. I don't think they will make a run at the AFC South, but like I said, entering the bye week, you're 3-3, Tennessee's 4-2. Colts are 2-4 and just too far back to climb for the division, even though it's kind of one game to the Jaguars. But still, if you have confidence in your team, you'll get at least a sense of how you think about your football team 6 weeks into the season. At least consider it. Again, if you're 2-4, 1-5, I wouldn't consider as much. But again, you're not trading Michael Thomas for 1 year. He's going to be on the team for the next 4 or 5 years at least, in my opinion. Probably 3 or 4, depending how his contract is. But just think of long term as well as alongside the short term. On the Jaguars, I'm at least considering it. I'm not saying they need to do it or have to do it. I think they're just worried about what they have right now due to so many new factors. They got to really work out who's good at what, who's bad at what, do we have the right team, yada, yada, yada. I would at least consider make a phone call and see what he's going to cost. And just, like I said, I'm not saying make a trade today, but just see how the season goes after week 6, entering the bye. That's when I would give it some great thought. You guys tell me. I do want to hear your opinions as always. And of course, I truly appreciate it. And thank you for watching. Referring back to the question of the video, your GM skills. What is Michael Thomas worth? Like I said, I I think he's going to be worth more than Julio Jones. Julio Jones went for a second and fourth. Another comparison would be Stephon Diggs. He went for a first-round pick. Michael Thomas is right around that realm. He's coming off an injury, so that could help the Jaguars in lowering his price, but it could also raise concern in not wanting to trade for him. Again, I think he's going to trade for right around a first-round pick and maybe a day 2 or day 3 pick. And if not a first-round pick, I'm thinking 2 seconds or a second and a third and a fourth. I don't think he's going to go cheap. He's a top 5, top 6 receiver in the league. But we'll just have to see. As always, and of course, thank you for watching, guys. 2 in the morning.